So this is a subtle one, but it's kind of important. And I know I'm talking a lot about game design introduction. This is by the way, this isn't like innovative in any way. This is Mario. This is every game you ever played. But I think it's kind of interesting to go through the steps. So here, this is a very specific skill. This is jumping up onto steps, but pressing jump and then moving once you've pressed jump. So here, if you just hold down, the direction key and then jump, you're actually going to hit the bottom of a staircase. What you need to do is jump and then in midair move across. And this is just a really subtle, simple level that kind of introduces that as a concept to the player. They don't actually have to do it that much in the main game, but it's useful to just kind of make sure that that's something I know the player can do at this early stage. So here is we're extrapolating on precision. It's essentially, we've done it in the previous level, we've made you do it. And here we're kind of queuing up a few of those. So if you fail at one, you can actually force yourself to go back a couple of steps in the progress. This is kind of the first time we're challenging the player, which is important, but it's important as well that it's not overwhelming. It's still very early days. I haven't yet shown you the kind of the differentiating mechanic of Thomas. So it's again just kind of bringing players up to speed with stuff and starting to show them how a game would work in this space. I didn't add respawning to the game until about a month before release. It's a classic example of something that every playtest I ever did. So basically, if you died in the game previous to a month before it came out, you were basically reset the level. So it didn't matter how much progress you'd made, you'd reset the level to the very start of the level, all your characters back where they started. Which means that you could, if you died late on in a level, lose about 5 minutes of gameplay. This was not good. And the playtesters told me at length in capital letters that it wasn't good in emails. But what I tried to do, what I realised was it was very hard to do, but I worked out about a month before release how to do it, and went back and added all these respawner points. And I'm so glad I did. If I hadn't done that, I think the game would have got very, 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 very tedious instead of its current level of kind of reasonable tediousness. It's also the reason why I think the game, sometimes people feel the game might be a little bit too easy, because I built the levels with that kind of failure in mind. So as you go through most of the levels in Thomas, they actually get easier as they go on, because I didn't want players to get frustrated. So I think that might be something I should make sure that I have the respawning system planned more than a month before release next time. Lighting. It's a weird one, the lighting. I didn't have lighting at one stage. There wasn't light. Then it was sounding a bit biblical. But as it went on, I kind of added that in. Initially, I was doing them by hand for every level. And basically, this procedural system kind of came out of laziness. I didn't want to do that anymore. And weirdly, as a side effect of that, it was cool, and the shadows moved and could be kind of related to placement of objects, placement of characters, and it was good. It's actually faked because the game was made in free Unity. I didn't have any shadows within the game kind of proper, so what I did was they're kind of stretched rectangles. So I place a corner of the rectangle at each corner which the shadow is projecting from, and then kind of stretch them off into the distance. Any coder listening to this just lost all respect for me, because that's the most wasteful way you could possibly do this. But it kind of worked, and we just went with it. And it's one of the things that people seem to like. So yeah, fortunately it's rectangles, so I can be wasteful. Okay, so this is the moving platform corridor. This was an attempt to bring in something that's going to become very important in a very short amount of time, the moving platforms. It's really hard to introduce moving platforms because moving platforms move, and that makes them challenging and makes them kind of a complex interaction. So what the corridor here allows me to do is introduce you to the idea that sometimes the ground moves, but in a way that doesn't actually kind of impact you too much, and won't cause you, hopefully, to get too stressed out. People seem to like it. It's kind of a bouncy castle level. People tend to have fun as they move through it, which is quite cool. And yeah, it looks interesting, and hopefully it just kind of introduces the concept. This is the most important level in the game. This is the point where I basically get to the point. And arguably, I should have done it a little bit sooner. However, this is where it is, and that's fine. So this is the point where the player has to learn how to switch characters, which is kind of the basis of the entire thing, is this switching between the characters. This is also actually one of the first levels. This is almost identical to the version that was in the original Flash game. You have two characters, both on the wrong side with their alternating targets. It's hopefully a space that makes a lot of sense. Kind of logically, you can understand what's going on with it. There's no lighting that's complex in it. It's quite flat. It's intentionally, hopefully, everything about this level is designed to get out of your way so you can learn essentially, a few things. One, how to switch characters, obviously. Two, how to, the targets. The targets are specific to the character. And three, the difference in abilities, so you should work out that Chris needs help. If I can get those 3 lessons to you, and if you've completed the level, then you've learnt all those lessons, the rest of the game becomes much, much more achievable.